Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody, welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with...
The Undertaker.
Yeah, looks pretty
Who died?
Grim, doesn't he?
Who died?
And me, Banshee. Something's wrong.
Whaler of Death.
Oh, it must be that it's time for the Unhappy Hour. This is where we tell you what might be bugging you for the next 4 weeks, roughly, and how you can turn that frown upside down.
Right. We base the show on the idea that as the moon moves to this fourth quarter phase, that, things that maybe are bugging us or problematic may surface. And this reading helps us determine what those may be for the elemental signs of the Zodiac. And then we kind of try to prescribe a possible cure.
And then we do the same for the world. And that's why my buddy Bly is here.
Help us, Bly.
My emotional support squishy.
Alrighty. So, of course, we are doing this for the elemental signs of the Zodiac. We're going to start off with the air signs. And air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
This reading's for you for the 4 weeks ahead, roughly. These cards are all read in reverse.
Yes, we have various little practices we use for different card readings. And so the Unhappy Hour is every card is reversed. No ambiguity. We're just going to give it to you straight up that way.
Straight up. So, I'm sorry. Did I cut them too? Well, you can cut them for me, Mr. O. Trying to lift my little hat up there for you. I don't want to look like I'm hiding. Gosh, Mr. O, that hat is ginormous on your head.
You have to have the head
to wear the
hat. All right, question 1. What is or will be making the air signs unhappy right now?
It's strength reversed. Can't get it. There we go. Strength reversed. Well, what might be making you unhappy? This is summer, at least in the U.S. area and stuff, and I think some of us really don't want to feel like they have to push themselves, like, they might be experiencing too much pressure and feeling that they have to really push things forward, get a little bit aggressive to get people to cooperate with them, things of that nature. They really want to be a little bit more easygoing, maybe, but you air signs, it looks as though, you're going to have to push the envelope in order to get things done or get what you desire.
It's almost like summer is turning into a standby for bickering zone. I don't have that button here.
It's like on the show.
But maybe the idea that, this overall feeling is like everything is a struggle, and that rather than expecting courtesy and kindness to open doors, it just seems like you have to push and shove in order to get your way.
I can't rule out that actually you are being victimized from somebody who is being too pushy and aggressive with you.
Ooh.
Maybe that's what's going on here, and it's starting to get to you.
Good idea.
So let's see which way the cards take us as we go forward.
So card 2, how are we dealing or will be dealing with this unhappiness?
It's death reversed.
Oh dear, so maybe we sort of feel like if we just sort of hunker down, nobody will see us, but maybe we're just going to kind of resist any positive change, and maybe we're just going to sulk there, and that's going to fester and stagnate.
Resistance is futile? I don't know. I think here, maybe this is about just, yeah, being stagnant, not being productive. It's draining you and it's making you feel like not giving the best to this particular situation. Or that, if the situation, if somebody is pushing you hard to make some changes, you're more resistant to doing it. And that's how you're responding to this.
Very good. So card 3, then why are the air signs' feelings justified? Or perhaps maybe why are they not?
Well, why are your feelings justified? Because you just want peace and quiet and you want healing. You wish that whatever's going on here, if somebody is pressuring you, if somebody is even bullying you for for example, you just want peace. You want to not feel bad anymore all the time and not feel sad about the situation.
There is an inference that, you are trying to get over or heal from something that hurt you emotionally. It could be an actual heartbreak, but I think in context to these other cards, somebody was pushing you around and making you feel like you should just slink into the shadows and rot away. And, really what you want to do is try to heal, and you'll have to accept the fact that those feelings are true.
How do
Card
you
4.
turn
That's
that
fine.
frown upside
Upside
down? Oh,
Oh,
it's the Six of Swords reversed. Well, the only way you're going to be able to turn this frown upside down is if you really stop stagnating, if you really stop resisting, if you really stop staying stuck in place. You do have to make a move. You do have to do something about this situation, whether it's confronting it, whether it's moving away from it. Some action is going to be required.
I like what you said there because I felt like that first card seems to indicate like maybe there's a confrontational situation going on. And the last card then says that maybe you can't move ahead without
Leaving
dealing
it
with it, and that
or
means you might
dealing
have
with
to
it.
confront it. And this calls upon you to try to be brave, air signs, to try to realize that you're not going to heal really or get over the stagnation unless you try to confront the situation. You won't move ahead.
Let's try to recap.
All right.
I'm beginning to think now more than ever that it's a situation where somebody is pressuring you. You feel bullied or you feel pressured. You feel like somebody is being too aggressive in their approach to you, maybe criticism. Whatever it is, it's really making you unhappy.
It would be clear to say that on some level, what's making you unhappy is that there's somebody who torments you in some way.
Mm. And how are you dealing with it? Well, unfortunately, you're kind of shutting down. You're refusing to change. You're refusing to you're refusing to grow from this and learn from this and make a determined choice to either change the situation, or confront it. You're stuck.
You're going to an inert form because you might think that maybe you'll hide in the shadows, you'll avoid this problem, but it's going to fester, stagnate.
You know,
I said that.
I think your feelings are justified because you feel like you just wish, can't we all just get along? Can't we find a way through this? Can't we find peace and, move on and make something better out of this situation instead of always, having to fight with one another?
I like that because it's possibly suggests that this is a person who victimizes other people besides yourself, and that maybe this is a little larger than you. It somehow affects around you. And so that idea, can't we just get along, maybe is valid.
And finally, the only way you're going to turn this frown upside down is to stop the stagnation. This is a card of going nowhere and accepting conditions that are not necessarily in your best interest. You're refusing to grow and move on. So in other words, you need to turn that around. That's what you need to turn around. You need to make positive moves, whether it's to confront the bully or the person that's affecting you, whether it's to move on or seek help or guidance. And I'm going to talk more about that after Mr. O weighs in.
Well, I can't say much more. It really feels like that, that you're not going to move ahead unless you confront the situation or you deal with it in some form. Maybe it's not about a confrontation, but something is sort of unfinished here.
Right.
Good luck.
So I just want to add for you air signs, seriously, if this is about a relationship and there's some real hostility coming from a partner, put a stop to this. Get yourself out of any kind of dangerous situations. It could also relate to things like workplace politics, dealing with family members who, are pushing you around, whatever the case may
Even
be.
in a worship group or some sort of other avocational group.
Whatever the case may be, stand up for yourself. It's time to stand up and do something about this. Good luck with that.
Good luck, air signs.
That was a toughie.
It was actually pretty clear in a way, though.
It was. I mean, but, tough.
Yeah, it's like tough advice in a way.
All right. Let's see what's going on with the fire signs, right?
Sorry about that.
It's quite all right. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Sorry.
I thought you were going
I had
the first one.
I had a little piece of cough drop stuck in a bad spot. Sorry.
I keep thinking of that one song from some British horror movie where the refrain was, "It's your funeral, it's your funeral." I'm thinking it's Peter Lorre and Basil Rathbone, and they're singing it, and it's silly. But I'm dressed like an undertaker with a tall hat.
You're in the mood, Mr. O.
I'm in the mood. Oh, I didn't give them to you.
I know. See, you did the same thing I did.
I did it one better because I went all the way to the cut stage. And
I cut it too. No, I did.
No, I stopped you before you cut.
Nope, I cut them. You didn't notice that. I did. Yeah.
It'll come out in the tape.
I know, and you'll see that I said it even at that time. I said, I cut the cards. Anyways.
Don't bicker.
Anyways.
It's there. Don't bicker.
Oh, see, he had it there all along.
No, it's only on that one scene. On
that one screen? Okay. Fine.
Shall I put it on the other scene?
Put it everywhere, Mr. O, because we bicker in every scene.
I know, it's a computer show, so I have to do them one by one, okay? I can't just mass load them everywhere.
Okay, Mr. O.
Great.
I have cut for you.
You wonderful fire sign, you. Let's find out. What will be making you fire signs on?
Oh, dear. It's the King of Wands reversed.
Oh, dear.
No, we're not feeling our power, fire signs. And also, maybe we just feel like we have been disempowered by someone. Maybe we're dealing with an aggressive, angry kind of person. Wow, this almost sounds like the other reading, in a way. But this could be yourself, too. You feel disempowered. Whether somebody else is causing you to feel that way, or it's just some internal doubts and things swirling around inside you, uncertainty, might be.
You're not feeling very confident, fire signs. You're sort of feeling like maybe somebody is trying to block your projection of power. You may feel also, too, that you normally feel brave and fearless about approaching certain situations, but something maybe makes you feel like you're not as courageous as you thought. And it makes you unhappy to feel like you're not
in
control.
In your power.
So card 2, how will you be dealing with this?
Wow. Its strength reversed is back.
Uh-oh.
But in this place, it's how you're dealing with it. And fire signs, we're dealing with it in a typical fire sign fashion. Getting a little angry, getting a little aggressive. Maybe we feel disempowered, but you know what? We're willing to fight back.
I'm going to need a cough drop. You are feeling aggressive about it, And maybe you're feeling that there's no way you can really communicate and come across either or compromise.
I kind of feel that this is a positive in a way because if and it all depends on it all depends on the circumstances here. If you're being disempowered by others, you're fighting back. You're fighting back. If there's some sort of situation that's been holding you back, you're fighting back. You're becoming more aggressive in your approach to trying to reclaim your power. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing at this point.
Isn't this crazy? I can't open it.
That's okay. I got it. Yeah, it's probably in my pocket.
I was afraid you were going to see
And
it.
so this is going to be really sticky, and I'm going to leave it with you once
That's what I deserve.
I get it open enough. There you go. Anyway, well, beggars can't be choosers. That was supposed to be for me. What happens when I need it now? Anyway.
We'll stop the tape.
Okay, so let's move on. We're sorry for this interruption. Card 3. Why are your feelings justified, fire signs? Oh my gosh. What the hey? It's repeat cards. This could be astrological stuff going on. And
Or
Mercury is
shuffle good.
Mercury is going to go retrograde in July. So right during this 4-week period, it's death reversed. And I should remind you that you shuffled first. So
But you shuffled too.
I know. So it should have been well shuffled.
Right. Okay.
At any rate.
So are your
no need to
justified?
bicker about this one. Go on.
Are your feelings justified? Maybe because you sort of feel like you have no power. You feel inert. You feel like you're not able to project your energy. Something has stopped you. And maybe you feel, you will have to resort to being more aggressive.
I like the term you used there, the inertia. I think here that maybe is the key, is you feel like, being disempowered is stopping your movement, your forward momentum. You feel like the wind has been taken out of your sails. So yeah, your feelings are justified. So how are you going to turn this frown upside down, fire signs? Oh, it's the King of Cups reversed. All right.
Maybe some of that aggressive energy can still be used, but maybe you can try to be slightly more benevolent in how it actually is used.
Well, I think here to turn the frown upside down, you have to, it's okay to fight back. It's okay to stand up for yourself, but you have to make sure that your emotions are not getting the better of you. You have to make sure that you are in control and command. They may be able to block, make you feel disempowered, and really, you can fight that. But your emotions are yours to control. Okay? And so is your power. So it's time for you to fight back logically and in a way conciliatorily, just saying, I just want my place here. I just want my rightful, just do. And stand up for yourself without getting too emotional about it.
That was really good, Banshee.
You think?
I think it follows from the idea that, you might feel you have to be more assertive, more aggressive, but really there's nothing to say you have to be angry. And so you can be assertive or aggressive, but not displaying anger. And so sometimes the reverse of the King of Cups is somebody who has issues, with anger or jealousy or negative emotions. This is saying it's okay, to have to be strong and maybe face obstacles, but you should indeed control the anger part.
Well, what's interesting to me when you said what you said about me is look at this. We start with fire and we end with water. It's like water is the solution. Water's got to douse out the fire. And on both sides,
So
in a way.
you're all wet?
Maybe, maybe. But we will recap. And I think it's interesting that there are two major arcana in between the fire and the water. So let's take a look here. Again, it just seems as though your fire is being watered down anyway. And that's how you feel about it. But you have to realize this is how you feel. It may be true that people may be making you feel justified in feeling people are making you feel this way, but it's up to you to take back your power.
Yes, you might feel like you're just not brave or courageous enough and confident enough, but it's up to you to figure out what that is.
But I think you're onto that, fire signs, because you realize here you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive and forceful in standing up for yourself. And I think you're going to do that. I think you're going to do that. There are some dangers with that, as we mentioned at the end, so we'll get there. But that's what I think is going on here.
No argument there. It may work out for you, but there are caveats.
And with the death card reversed here, your feelings are justified because you feel inert. You feel unable to really have any forward momentum when you don't feel like you are in control or that you have the power and authority you need to move things forward.
In some ways, this was about what you wanted to change. Maybe it wasn't vast sweeping change.
I like
that.
that.
Change you wanted to affect, and you've been curtailed from it. So your feelings are justified that maybe you have to approach this a little harder.
And finally, the best way to turn that frown upside down is not to let your emotions get the better of you. You know, if one thing that you need to control is your emotions here. And if you do that, you're more than likely to be able to regain your power through through logical argument and I don't even know if I want to say argument, but logical statement of the truth here, your inner truth. And I think here, just don't let your emotions muck up the works. Fight for your rights, but in a real level-headed, I wanted to say that sort of way.
So I like that. I think that's pretty good. That's what we have then for the fire signs.
I think it could relate to business and work matters more than anything else, or organizations that you might belong to.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
All right, fire signs. We are now going to move to the water signs.
Water.
Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio,
And this one.
and Pisces. I'm the Scorpio.
Yes. Well,
we knew what you meant.
There you go. Well, it's just covering my eyes too much. I thought I could get this hat. I have such a big head, Mr. O.
I guess you shouldn't try this hat on, eh?
Maybe not.
We might find out that your head's too big for it.
I just have to adjust it more, I think, if I can get it right. Well, that extra brain power of mine needs space. Space.
Water signs, here we go.
Okay.
Hard one.
Where does it hurt?
What is the ruby making the water signs feel unhappy?
Well, it's the Three of Pentacles upright. The Three of Pentacles.
No, reversed.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Reversed. I don't know what I'm thinking. Three of Pentacles reversed. Well, clearly, I think what's making you unhappy is an inability for people that you are working with to be on the same page with you, or you with them. It just seems like everybody has their own agendas, and nobody can agree on a way forward. It seems as though there's a lack of cooperative and congenial spirit. Everybody is kind of in it for their own game and are missing, and you feel that they're missing the point of it all.
People may actually be working disparately against each other. It's not so much maybe the agenda is different, but maybe where things are supposed to function as a unit, something's not right, and and maybe that's the amount of practice or dedication or
Mhm.
motivation to really follow the plan.
All right,
So
so,
how will you be dealing with this then?
ooh.
Ooh, well, you're going to try to reverse things.
Well, yeah, it's the Ten of Swords reversed, which means I think you're dealing with this well. I think you are trying to reverse it, or you're trying to find a way forward for everybody, you know, including yourself. You're trying to figure out, how you move forward when everybody else seems to be kind of, I mean, with the chaos around the group, and you may find that hard, but you are trying.
Well, I said that the first card said people could be, in addition to what Banshee said, working disparately. And this card almost implies like maybe there was a rogue element, somebody who was actually trying to screw it up. And so you may be dealing with this by trying to figure out how to deal with that. Whether you know or don't know if somebody was, and maybe they were unconsciously sabotaging it because they just weren't with their heart in it for some reason. But either way, you will be trying to figure out what this is and how to reverse it.
Well, how to reverse it because, it is reversed. And basically, that's a card of healing, of getting back up on your feet and moving forward. So I think what you're trying to do is figure out how to get everybody coordinated once more. Maybe it's a matter of you feeling that you have to take the lead now. I'm not sure. Let's see what the other
Right.
cards
So,
say.
number three, are your feelings justified?
Well, yeah. Six of Pentacles reversed. I think your feelings are justified because everything seems out of balance. There's not an ability for people to feel a reciprocity, a give and take. It seems like people just want to take. Maybe some of them want to take all the glory for the project and they're not sharing the work. Or maybe somebody is not doing their share. It just seems like it's all over the place here and it's not balanced.
The effects of what are causing the water signs unhappiness were merely immediate. So, whatever didn't come together at the planning or well, rather the implementation or team unit process there, it was felt nearly immediately, and it threw things into an unbalance. And so you realize that nothing good will come of it. It may have to be abandoned if you can't re-achieve the balance.
And this both of these cards in a way are about a lack of balance,
Yeah.
a perspective even here, with this card. And I think here, that's about an even flow. What goes out comes in, what comes in goes out. And there's a flow and there's a reciprocity that is lacking in this card. This is what is making you feel upset. So, how are you water signs going to turn that frown upside down? Oh boy. Well, it's the Page of Cups reversed. What do you say, Mr. O?
You may feel that there isn't a lot that can do that, and that you might have to, change dramatically in certain ways. You may have to, accept this as a downturn that will have to achieve its own momentum back upwards again. It does feel in a way that, there's sort of, something that is an impasse of some sort, or that emotionally you might feel you're not understanding a key element, and that maybe if you understood something emotionally, something that affects people's emotions or your own about this, that maybe that would help balance it.
Hmm. I kind of feel here you're going to have to, you're going to have to clear your head. Try not to, similar to another reading, try to keep your emotions in check. Don't get too upset. And really think your way out of this. Come up with some creative ideas. Maybe through all of this chaos, you might be able to come up with an idea that everybody can suddenly find kumbaya with, and just say, yeah, let's do this. Let's work together this way. I think you're going to have to really be creative, which means, too, that you have to kind of rise yourself above the feelings that you have here in order to come up with this solution. Otherwise, your intuition and your creative juices can't flow. But once you get going and you come up with an idea out of the blue, I think people would agree to it.
All right, well, let's wrap it up.
Let's do it. Okay. So I think here we've got a problem in the workplace. I really do think this is very work related overall. And I think here it's a problem with everybody not playing nice as a team. Everybody's in it for their own gain maybe, or their own recognition, and they're forgetting the mission.
Right. There's no concept of teamwork, and that people may, even if they don't have their own agenda, they just may be working disparately against what the actual objectives should be.
And you're finding it very frustrating. And so you're trying to find a way to recover. How can we pull this out of this chaos, How can we get something that everybody can agree on and we can work together and everybody can share in the rewards of a job well done, rather than some people trying to hoard the glory.
Well, it's possible that maybe there is somebody who is actually the problem person, the troublemaker. So
Could be.
this is always maybe indicating that needs to be addressed as well.
Could very well be.
All right, so
your feelings are justified because there's no balance
there's no
here.
balance.
There's no balance.
And it's going to reflect on everybody.
And so how you turn that frown upside down? I say by coming up with a creative solution. You're just going to have to kind of look at the situation unemotionally and come up with something that will solve this dilemma.
It's possible that this might just have to cycle through for another time period, and then maybe it can be approached again.
All right.
I think her explanation is probably better.
I don't know. I think yours is pretty good.
All right, so now we're on the earth signs.
See, we can agree on something.
And earth signs are Taurus, Virgo,
Capricorn. Oh, it's your turn. Thank you. Well, so we're nearing the end, but we have one more reading after this. Is that like a flying saucer?
No.
Oh. Is it a hat?
No.
Okay. Can I keep guessing? No.
Well, you can keep guessing, but it would probably be easier if I showed you what it is.
Oh.
I have to take off the filters.
Oh.
It was the sun on the horizon, and I think that was the photo from it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Those allow different effects. So I left the scroll on, so
it's scrolling around. I gotcha. All right, Mr. O. All right, for you, Earth signs.
What is or will be making the Earth signs unhappy right now?
Oh. That would make me unhappy.
Well, it's a major problem here. It's the reversed Wheel of Fortune. And so the Earth signs may feel like really they're having too much unexpected bad luck, that things are just really tumbling the wrong direction for them.
You're feeling down on your luck at this time. You feel as though
fate is fickle.
Fate is fickle.
Or worse.
or that, you just can't seem to be at the right place at the right time. Timing is off. And so you're frustrated. Maybe there was something you wanted to pursue or do, but other things just keep getting in the way. In other words, the universe is kind of telling you no. And so right now, maybe a time you just have to accept the fact that you have to lay low. But you don't want to, do you, Earth signs?
So how will you be dealing with this feeling of unluckiness, this total
Did we
feeling?
not shuffle good this time?
Well, it does happen. It's not with the other cards. Yeah.
Oh, well, except when I do it. Ah,
But that was 2 in a row. Strength was reversed and death, and this was reversed, or the other one was, whatever it was. So obviously those aren't 2 in a row. Okay, so it's 10 of Swords reversed.
it is again, and it's in the same spot as that last reading, I believe, or the one before. So that's what I think is very interesting here. I think, you're responding to this by just accepting the fact and being ready to move with the situation. I think you realize it. It's not making you happy, though, but you are trying to just say, okay, I just have to spend my time right now and my energy differently.
Well, it almost feels like, since this is fate, what we're talking about, the unexpected bad luck, you're taking this very personally. You're taking the universe as being that person that stabbed you in the back.
Hmm.
And so you may be thinking, like, you
Fates are against me.
fates are against you, and this is creating probably even more intense feeling of unhappiness.
Well, I'm not sure it's reversed, so I'm kind of thinking more positive, but
Okay,
I
that's
get that. So, are those feelings justified, though? Well, you've got the Queen of Pentacles, also reversed, of course. So the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Are your feelings justified? Yeah, it's put you in a funk, and it's made you feel non-productive, like you just don't think you can do what you wanted to do right now, so you're holding back. I think here too that, you feel so blue that maybe you feel like this is a time better spent taking care of yourself than really trying to project outward and, get something done.
You guys feel like you don't have your groove.
Yeah.
You're not, and in a way, it sort of is a reflection of what that reverse Wheel of Fortune is. You don't feel like the cogs or the spokes are fitting in place. You sort of feel misaligned, like things just aren't really lining up the way. So yeah, your feelings are justified because this is totally throwing you off your game, or that's what you feel.
Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles is really in tune with her material world. And I like what you said there because it just seems to me things are out of sync. She can't seem to sync up like normal.
Well, how will you do this then? How will you turn your frown upside down?
Wow, we have two repeats here. And it's the Three of Pentacles reversed again. Interesting. Well, I think these patterns are important. We're seeing, as I've said, there's some astrology stuff that must be going on that's affecting us in some similar ways here. But how you turn this frown upside down is to try to work in tandem with the energies you're dealt with here. In other words, we were talking before about this is a little bit more ethereal, I have to admit, because it's usually a material card, but maybe this applies in your material world that luck is not with you right now. And so I feel here you have to work with the energies as they are. You have to learn to work with them and not try to go against this tide. It's the only way you're going to get through this and be happy about it.
Well, that's a really interesting take there. I actually thought this was like sort of like maybe saying you're going to have to make a sacrifice to the gods and appropriation.
Well, that's pretty esoteric.
To get the luck wheel spinning in your
Oh my
favor
gosh.
again. But no, the Three of Pentacles reverse does sort of indicate, that sometimes, teamwork or group things maybe have misdirections here. And maybe this is saying really that, this is a caution against expecting other people or situations
to help
to
you.
change the wheel for you.
Yeah,
That maybe
yeah.
this is saying really you either have to wait until the luck cycle works back for you, or you have to find the way to get your groove back.
So I think this has to do with either your financial affairs or your career. You know, could be
Yeah.
workplace issues, you know, where a team is involved. But I also feel that, you know, like I said, I'm looking at that first card and that last card again as being key. They kind of fit together. And teamwork, it may not apply here if it's your luck that's the problem. Let's go through this. So we've got the wheel here, and the wheel is saying luck and timing is off for you. Whether it's, you know, with trying to get a team together, whether you're trying to get a job somewhere, whatever it is, you're trying to increase your income or you're trying to invest in the markets, things are not working out for you.
It's the source of your unhappiness. So
It
it may
is.
have more emotional, personal stakes than anything else, but we're not going to rule out any of the other things.
Well, you're going to feel blue. You're going to feel bad.
Right.
And you just wish, like you said, you're cursing the fates, you know? You think it's working against you right now.
So once again, though, you will be trying to figure out who it is that did this to you or what caused this and how you can possibly, rectify it in some way.
I think you're looking at this as a big blow to you, you know, in some way, but you are recovering because maybe you're starting to realize that, you know, it's just a bad time right now. The timing is not right for whatever you wanted to implement or do, and you really maybe ought to reassess how you approach it. Your feelings justified? Yes.
Yes.
You know, you feel very unsettled, as you pointed out. You don't feel in sync with the energies here. I think that's pretty clear.
And you probably don't feel there's enough you can do to make yourself feel better right now.
But the best way to turn the frown upside down is to try to team up with the fates, ride that wheel wherever it takes you. Because remember, you may be on a downward cycle now, but it's going to spin back up again. If you keep trying to go backwards on it, it's just like you're going to be going against the tide.
Another way of looking at that reverse Three of Pentacles could be saying you have a somewhat adversarial relationship to fate, and so you have to also change your attitude too.
I like that.
That if you expect things to get worse, then they're going to get worse. You have to really have a better attitude about where fate can take you.
Wow, so good luck with that.
Good luck.
Ooh, these are some
And
readings.
that was the elemental readings for the signs for this reading. But now we're going to look at what's making the world unhappy.
So many things. So many things. Hold Bly while I shuffle. What does Bly say on her crystal ball? It says the future looks bright. Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yes, it does.
I always worry when we do the world reading. We get some heavy-hitting cards sometimes here.
Right, and this is a reading for the collective sense of the world, so it's not going to be exactly correct for everything about the world. It does not pertain to, any particular culture or nationality or religion, any of that. It's just about, in general, things we may get from this may imply something about a particular country or situation, but we don't know that that's a given. There, did I say that okay?
Indeed. Well, there's a lot of unhappiness out there right now. Let's see if we can turn some of it around. Ooh, that card is really bent.
It really wanted to be there. Or did it?
Or did it?
Okay, world, what's making us all unhappy right now?
Huh. It's the Hermit reversed.
Well, maybe a lot of us would like to not have to deal with this. We'd like to be alone by ourselves, or not like saying avoiding the world, but we don't want to deal with certain situations. Or maybe this is saying too that we're not really understanding or seeing, so maybe that's the hermit's message, maybe, is that what makes us unhappy is we're not understanding the wisdom here, or the lack of wisdom.
I think what's making many people unhappy well, it's twofold actually. I think one of them is that, people are feeling they want to come out, but they're afraid to. In other words, I think that everybody's avoiding some truths that they really need to see. I think that people are hiding, they're sheltering themselves, and, they're escaping, in their little caves, and they're thinking, well, as long as these problems don't affect me, I'm fine. But what if you end up one day having to run and hide in a bomb shelter, for example, and stuff like that? What if you have to hide from authorities who are tracking you down to remove you from a country? What if you are in a war zone like Ukraine that just never seems to be ending? You can run, but you can't hide. And we as a world community, we cannot hide from some of the serious problems that we face. And I think a lot of people are frustrated with the amount of us that are unwilling to come out of the cave.
Well, another simpler way for me to say this is what makes many of us unhappy is that there are so many who don't see the light.
Bam!
So, card two, how are we dealing with this unhappiness now?
Well, it came up reversed too. It's the Four of Swords reversed. I like that.
I like that.
I like it a lot.
I think it represents what's been happening in the States
Definitely.
recently, in recent times.
I think people are standing up more. More and more people are coming around for the needs. Awakening to the...
That's right, baby. They're going woke. They're going woke.
Awakening to the needs of change in their communities. I have to get my things out before I forget them. I'm sorry. It's my brain. So,
Okay.
so the thing is that it's not just in the U.S. We have seen worldwide protests.
Yep.
We have seen situations where, there have been votes in certain countries and they're voting for change, or they're voting to keep certain elements away that they feel are destructive to their communities. I think that we are seeing some blowback in different ways. We are seeing some people willing to stand up even though the odds are stacked against them. I mean, regardless of what side you feel you're on with Israel and Iran, for example, Iran is standing up and they're saying, no, we're not going to surrender. We're not backing down. So there's got to be some other way to solve this problem. Hopefully a constructive way.
Whoa. Well, people, I said what I said before, but I think the metaphor of waking up too is a good takeaway here. And when I made that little thing about woke, that's because it does strike a nerve with people who are anti-woke, who are who are for the status quo, who are for conformity. And, when we listen to politicos who don't understand the ramifications of the warlike actions they want to take, don't understand the millions of people whose lives are at stake, somebody has to do something. Somebody has to rise up and do something.
I agree. I'll have more on that in the recap.
Why are our feelings justified?
Oh, man. It's the Seven of Wands reversed. Because we're kind of feeling powerless, right? We think that people have stolen our power, that people are bringing us down rather than uplifting us, that our leaders are failing us in that regard. They want to control us rather than allow us to control our own lives. And that's not just here.
Well, our feelings are justified because in the States, once again, the actions of people are, towards these administration goals of deportation stuff are forcing people to be in very defensive postures,
Yes.
possibly not go to hearings that they need to go to establish their citizenship or to be involved with society in meaningful ways. There are so many things wrong here in this picture because these are people that are retreating from their employment or their other situations because they have a fear of being put down.
And if we want to talk about America, because you can really see a lot of correlations to what's going on here, this card is also about some of our leaders, for example, in the legislatures that are willing to, that aren't standing up or having difficulty standing up for the rule of law. They feel pressured, they feel threatened. We've already had some politicians assassinated. Let's call it for what it was.
Some chilling effects to
And this is chilling, and it is disempowering, to be dealing with this. So our feelings are justified.
Well, last card.
I'm sure Iran feels this way now. And
Wait,
I'm not going to say that Israel doesn't feel this way either. It's just a bad situation there. And so finally, how in the heck do we turn this frown upside down? Okay. We got the King of Wands reversed. Well, I could get really personal with this one. It's a very orange card after all, but, I will move beyond the orange stuff. I think how we turn this frown upside down is to stand up and not and be courageous and fight the good fight, and also not allow bitter, angry, disruptive powers overwhelm us.
I leaned in towards the US for a world reading, but all those situations can easily be applied to the world.
100%.
We'll get to that in a moment. And I feel like, right, what we need to do to turn that frown upside down is we have to speak truth to power. We have to try to find our inner nobility and humanity, or we have to try to get others to see that within themselves, to find their courage. And also, everybody has a personal thing going on that maybe is their own charisma or whatever you want to call it, that is that their own catalyst for positive change for themselves, but also to model that to their friends, their family, whoever.
Well, let's recap. Oh my goodness. So I think here, what's making us all unhappy worldwide is that nobody is really following the light. I think also that, again, as we stated quite clearly, there are a lot of people who are hiding, they're escaping, they're trying to avoid situations rather than confront them head on, right?
Well, the hermit's lantern of light always sort of had an aspect of truth, and
Right.
thereby an inference of the rule of law. And so the idea that it's toppled, it's reversed, maybe suggests we're unhappy because we see that respect for truth and justice has eroded.
Well, and wisdom.
And wisdom.
Because,
These things have eroded and are not easily found in our world, wherever we are.
So, how are we dealing with it? Well, I think a lot of us are stirring to action. There are people who are waking up. And, this is a perfect time for me to say what I was going to say earlier. He brought up the woke thing. And what I want to say is that we need to reclaim the woke word. Since when is being awake or woke a bad word? It's being misused, and it's very bad. Because in other words, are we supposed to just stay dumb Is that the idea by saying anti-woke? Because it's ridiculous to me. So I just want to get that out there. I'm sorry, my
Well,
pet peeve.
the sneer marks about being woke and all that kind of stuff is because the reality is people don't want to accept, for the most part, LGBTQT as valid human beings with the right to live, but it goes also to all forms of diversity.
Oh my gosh, immigrants, different religious wars, that we're seeing going on in the world, everything, just political divides that are out of
Anti-woke
control.
is really more about white nationalism and their insane fear that they can't control a world that is more brown and more nuanced.
Well, anyway,
Anyway,
this whole thing is about awakening again and awakening to our power. We have a lot of energy and drive here now and motivation, but we've got to channel it appropriately and in ways that truly will make change happen. We have to be the change we want to see.
more of us have to wake up and we have to help them.
And so ultimately, here are our feelings justified. Many of us feel like we're being surrounded, boxed into a corner. I feel for the immigrant families and the people here, legally or not, that are being just totally kidnapped and treated so poorly. There would have been so much better ways to handle the immigration problem, even if you were to send people back. Even if you were, there were so many better ways to do this. And also, countries that are at war with each other. Ukraine feels like, they don't deserve to be stuck in this situation. Iran's wondering, hey, what the heck happened? You don't even know if we have a nuclear bomb or not. And you're hitting us. And so it's just a crazy situation right now. The Gazans are starving. This war should be over with them by now. And yet, we're allowing them to starve.
Thank you. Okay, so the way we're dealing with this, why our feelings are justified, is because we feel people are being very victimized. People are being treated as victims or casualties of war in an acceptable manner that should not be.
And finally, how do we turn this frown upside down? We have to re-empower ourselves. We have to realize, that, there are more that the people in power are there to serve us. They're not to control us. We should be the masters of our lives. We should be able to live, freely and enjoy life and not be treated, as, underlings. Basically, we're all equal here.
We're always meeting the new boss and getting fooled again, and we have to figure out a way to make change that overrides that and paints a new picture totally.
Well, good luck, world.
Good luck, world.
We got our work cut out for ourselves.
So that was the Unhappy Hour.
I hope everybody got something out of these readings, and we'll be back for another. This is for the fourth quarter moon now, and hopefully when we do come back, I do believe Mercury will still be retrograde, but we'll be halfway through it by then, I think. So hopefully things will start to improve. Maybe next readings won't be quite so harsh.
So don't forget to support all our other media and watch our other shows recorded and live. And we will catch you in another month about.
Take care. Bly says goodbye and good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.